When I was in my early 20s, I was working in the framing business, and I was joisting a floor and had a fall where I straddled the joist, and at that point I injured my urethra, but not knowing it, I didn't have any complications for probably a year after that, where everything started stricturing down and causing me problems. So I had gone to see a urologist at that point, and he had told me that, oh yeah, you have a stricture, no problem. Took me in his office, laid me down on the table, proceeded to do a dilation, which took me totally by surprise. Left his office thinking, man, I hope I never have to go through that again. He told me, yeah, you'll be fine. So I went on with life. And over the next couple of years, the stricture tightened up some more, and I couldn't urinate, but kept thinking, oh, I'm going to have to go back and have that done again. Didn't want to do it, so I waited and waited, and finally broke down, probably 2 or 3, 4 years later. Went to another urologist and started doing dilations again, and had a few false passages, which caused more damage. And I'd have to have the dilations done probably about every 6 months to a year, and I'd always put it off longer and longer each time, just because of the discomfort. Then I went to a new urologist, and he says, oh, we can do a surgery with a laser. So they went in and did a laser cut and left a catheter in for about a week so everything would grow in around that, and that failed. So then I was back to dilations again and did that for a few more years, and went to another urologist, and we decided to do a surgery where they put stents in. And my stricture at this point was long, so it took 2 stents, and they put them in, and it was real aggravating. I had a lot of pain, after the surgery with it, so I just told them, I said, take them out. So then they went back in with another surgery to remove them, which caused more damage, and then we went on to more years of dilation. And at that time, my doctor told me that there was some other options of doing surgery. Met with this doctor, he went through the whole surgery, and it just sounded like they were going to cut me open every which way, and they had to leave me that way for 6 months until it healed, and then I'd come back in, they'd put me back together, and I'm just thinking, you know what, the dilations sound easier than that. So I was back to dilations. And then when I went back to talk to my urologist that referred me to that, said, well, there's another doctor down at UCI. So he gave me the referral, his name and number and everything, and I went home and I just stuck it up on my bulletin board and didn't even think about it. So then next time I went back for a dilation, I told my doctor, I said, there's got to be something else I can do, short of surgery, short of having to come down here every month to get dilated, just because it's an inconvenience for work and everything else. And I have false passages every once in a while, which causes more damage and more pain. So he told me that he had this one old guy that used to come in and he would do his own dilations. And I'm thinking, oh, well, that can't be that bad if I did them myself. At least I can kind of control the pain. So he thought that I might be able to handle it. So he gave me the instruments to do it. And for the next 8 to 10 years, I did self-dilations, probably every 2 weeks. Sometimes I'd put it off for a month, but I could, in the comfort of my own house, take care of the problem. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't as good a dilation as the doctors would do, but I didn't have any false passages or a lot of bleeding or anything else. But that became monotonous, just having to think about doing it again, or if you're going on vacation for a month, make sure you take the stuff with you to do it. And so I kept looking at Dr. Delman's little card up on my bulletin board, and finally broke down one day. I left a message with his office, told him a brief summary of what was wrong, and about 7 o'clock that evening I get a phone call from him, and it totally took me by surprise, because usually a doctor never calls you, and especially if you've never seen him before. And I talked with him for at least an hour on the telephone, and he talked about my condition, he talked about the options that he has and stuff, and I told him I wasn't sure that I wanted to do it. I wasn't even sure I wanted to make an appointment with him. I just was trying to get some more information. but just with the way he presented himself, talked about the injury, talked about what he could do, it was really comfortable feeling, and so I went ahead and made the appointment with him. And he's been great to work with. And finally broke down and decided to do it. When I came down for that next visit to have the catheter removed and all the pipes cleaned off there, the first time that I urinated after that, it was like heaven. I mean, I couldn't believe it, and I have felt like a free man ever since. So it was a good experience. And since then, it's been great. It's been a year and a half since my surgery. Haven't had any problems. I mean, I've been able to step up to the plate and take care of business every single time. There's really no side effects of the surgery. I mean, they did a skin graft out of my cheeks inside. I got a couple little scars or lumps in there that I thought were going to really irritate me for a long time, but after a while you just forget they're there. And so that's not a problem. When I urinate now, the one thing, because of the stricture repair, some urine remains in the urethra, and you have to, you know, kind of push a little bit harder or use your hand to kind of make sure you empty your urethra to urinate, and otherwise you might have a little bit of leakage or something. But once you figure out how to do that, it's easy, and that is absolutely nothing compared to getting a dilation every couple months or sooner. So it's been, to me, it's been 100% success, and I have no regrets of doing the surgery whatsoever. And I wish they would have done it 25 years ago when I had the initial problem, because it probably was a relatively small stricture that probably could have been fixed a lot easier than it was fixed now. And I would think today, with the technology that's out there, anybody with a stricture, before it gets really bad and before you have 1 million dilations, to really get it damaged, would be well off to consider having the surgery. I have a really nice relationship with Dr. Gelman. When he comes in the office, he talks to you, he listens to your problems, he has some questions, he knows what to ask. He'll, if he needs more information out of you, you're not explaining it the right way, you know, he'll sit there and, you know, and get the right answer from you, so he knows exactly what he's looking at. And with all the other doctors that I've seen over the years, I've only had 2 that have really cared about me, and Dr. Gelman is one of them. If anybody were to come up to me and ask me what I thought or what I would do, and you know hindsight's 20/20, but I would tell anybody right now, you need to make the call and look into the surgery, because dilations or stents or any of these other laser treatments that they can do to you are all they're going to do is make things more difficult to fix it in the long run. And if you're anything like I am and you wait, eventually it's going to be so bad you're going to have no choice but to do the surgery, and it's just a matter of, is it going to be an easy surgery, or is it going to be an 8-hour surgery like mine was? So I would highly recommend that people make the call and look into getting it fixed correctly.